Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Versatile Web User Training. This is our final training for the week. For those of you who've already been using our system, thank you so much for all of your feedback. And for those of you who have yet to send records to the State Record Center and are about to embark on using our system, thank you for joining us today. With me today to help me out with this presentation is Susie Okino. So if you have any questions along the training session, please feel free to put it on chat. She'll try to respond to them, or we'll wait till the very end to cover or to answer your questions. This is our agenda for today. We are going to talk about retrieval. We're going to talk about how to search records, how to request records, and we'll talk about how to actually request to store records at the Record Center. And there are two ways to do it. We'll cover both ways. And finally, we'll talk about disposition, what happens to the records when they meet retention, and how you can go ahead and give us permission to destroy or to let us know if we need to hold on to those records longer. Let me give you a little bit of a timeline on how we got to Versatile. On October 2023, we actually purchased the software and had it installed. It took us a while to actually go through training and to migrate data from our Access database. We decided on Versatile because we wanted to give agencies control over the records that are stored here, meaning we wanted you to be able to log into the system and to view information about the records you have stored here. We also wanted you to be able to request and to approve, to request storage, to request for files, and also to approve destruction. In June of 2024, we went live, which meant that our Access database is no longer in use. And we actually provided training, early training. We too were still learning how to use the system. In July of last year, we officially replaced Access with Versatile. So we're not using Access at all. Uh, and we are still actually working in improving the system. In fact, there's a newer version of the system that we might actually be implementing in the next few months. So agencies are no longer required to be using the same old ARM5 forms that we had. We have a different version of those forms now, and you will not be receiving ARM4 forms from us at all anymore. So I guess I just talked about what you can do with Versatile Web Account. You can search for records, you can request for records, you can submit requests to store, and you can receive notification of records eligible for destruction. The things that made Versatile easy for us to use is some of the manual things that we used to do. We used to actually transcribe information from the ARM5 form into our Access database. Today, you actually enter the data, we look it over, we approve it, we make corrections, and then we upload it or approve it into the system. In terms of requesting, you used to turn in a form. Now you can go directly and search for the boxes that contain your records or for the files themselves if we have file information and request directly. The notifications, we used to create an ARM4 form, attach an ARM5 form to it, send it to you. Now you'll be logging into the system to approve destruction. Getting an account. If you don't already have an account, please send an email request to recordcenter@hawaii.gov with the following information. So when you get an account and you use it, you will only be allowed to see records for the agency that you belong to. So we do have security settings to limit your access to information. If you are a departmental records officer, you are able to see all records for your department that are stored here at State Records Center. For us who work at the State Records Center, Susie, me, and June, we actually can search through all of your records because we're considered administration, and that's the only way we can work with your records. Okay, so let's go over how to search records. There are three different ways. The first one is basic, and then box file document criteria, and finally advanced criteria. And depending on which one you select, they're actually best for searching certain aspects of your records. So let's go over basic criteria. This type of search, you can go through it by clicking on retrieval, click on search records, and then this window will come up, and then you can click on basic criteria. What basic criteria searches, this text box here, is actually the title that you have in your box or for your file if you sent us file information. For this example, we're going to look at boxes. So I want to find all records in the system that have PCARD in their box title or box description. So I end up with this search results. I think I limited it to a particular agency because 287 is kind of low. So, and then all of the boxes will be listed, and I could go through them and see which ones I want to request for. Many times when you're logging in for the first time, the search results, actually the columns showing up here are not the information that you need in order to determine which box you need to request for. So you can go ahead and configure. So how you configure is, sorry, let me go back. There's a button here that says configure. Click on that, and then this window will come up. It will show which columns are already showing. You can actually remove barcode. You don't need that. That's for us to use. You don't need the create date most likely, but there are some columns that you want to add. So this is where you click on this down arrow and it'll list all the different fields of information, and you can add the ones that you want. Our suggestion is that you have department, just to confirm that you're only seeing your records, and then you have description and title. Unfortunately, between Access and Versatile, sometimes we use both of these fields, sometimes we only use one or the other. So it's best to have both of those fields up. User box number is actually what we used to call accession numbers. So click on that so you know what the accession number is, or add that, sorry. And then you also want to add agency box number. That's the box number that you assign to that specific box. So to help you decide if that's the right box, you probably want to have that up too. Once you're done selecting the columns, removing columns that you don't need, click on Done, and your search results will look a little different. It will contain the fields that you selected, and it'll probably have more info to help you select. The next search criteria you want to go over is basic criteria files. This is good for searching for specific files if you provided that information to us, which means that you submitted through Versatile Web file information, which I'll show you later how to do, or you sent to us an ARM 5A form, Excel form, as well as an ARM 5A form, which contains file information. You can click on that. The other way the other reason why you could actually search for files is because you submitted a request for this file before. What usually happens here is once you tell us which box to open, which file to take out for you, and which file to send to you, we will create a file record for it. So if you remember that this file was requested before, you could actually search for that name or that case file number or whatever it is that you name your files. So here we're searching for Clayton and we're only looking for file records. And what will happen is, because I am an admin, I can find Clayton in all different types of records that are sent here. So it'll tell me which accession it is, the title that contains the word, file title that contains the word Clayton. It'll tell me what department that record is in and so forth. And I can select any one of these to request because it matches my search. Okay, so before starting a different kind of search at any time, please make sure you press the clear button so that your previous searches will not affect your new or current searches. Because if you don't clear it, it will limit your search and you probably won't find the record that you're looking for. So don't forget to do that. So the next thing we're going to do is box file document criteria. So same thing, you're going to click on retrieval, search records, and then this window will pop up. You're going to click on box file document criteria. Now this search is best for people who know what the accession number is. And of course, as I'm saying, user box number equals accession number. So for this example, we're going to be searching for this accession. And we want to find not only boxes, but files that are from that accession. So you can do either one or you could do both. So here it is. I did find all of the boxes. There are 15 of them for this, 15 files and boxes in this accession. This first line here tells me that this file is actually in use, but it's there. Okay, and finally, the last type of search that you can do is the advanced criteria. So in this example, what we want to search for are boxes where the event date, I think it's either the date of closure, the date the files were created, depending on the record series that you're using. I do want to find, for me anyway, records that were closed calendar year 2019. So I'm going to put in this field event date and check it off. 12/31/2019 and 12/21/2019, sorry, on both of these fields. I know it's the same date, but it's like the from date and to date. So I want everything closed on that calendar year end. So I have checked off these two, and I am limiting my search only to Attorney General's files. When you log in, this is already filled in for you because your search is limited. But for your DRO, they can actually change this and they will be able to search other parts of the department if they want to, or the entire department. So I'm going to click on search, and this is the search results. So it's finding me every single box where the closure date is calendar year 2019. The advanced criteria is also good for searching all, meaning I want to find everything in the Attorney General's Department of Attorney General. So what I do is I clear the search, I check off boxes because I don't want to find files, I just want to find boxes. And then I'm gonna make sure these are checked off. I want to make sure this is Attorney General's. And then there's no event date. So there's nothing there. All you need is the department, the type of record, is it box or folders? We don't do documents, by the way. And then you're going to click on search and it'll find that there's over 2,000 boxes from the Attorney General's office at the State Records Center. So that's all for searching. Do you have any questions before we go into how to request for boxes and files? Susie, are there any questions on chat that I'm not seeing?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, so we're going to proceed with requesting box or files. So after you've conducted your search and you've found the record or the box that you're telling us contains the file that you want, is one scenario. The other scenario is you do want us to retrieve the entire box. You are then going to, on that search result, select that box. So you click on the plus symbol. And then this screen will come up. Sorry, you have to click on the shopping cart symbol to see what's on your cart. And then you'll see what's there. And then you're going to click on request. Yes, that says request. My screen's really small. Okay. And then after you click on request, this window is actually going to come up. If you're requesting a file in that box, this is the place where you actually put the file title, either the person's name, the case file number, I don't know, whatever it is that you are looking for. It could be a transaction date if it's a JV. So you will enter it here and click request. If you are actually asking for the entire box, which is also allowable, you can say here requesting entire box so that it's clear for our office assistant that that's what you're requesting rather than just going to open the box and try to look for a file there. Okay, your request was successfully sent. And what will happen on our end is we will see that there's a request using Versatile Desktop. And we will go ahead and pull that record for you. You can also cancel your request. There are times when people send in a request and realize they don't need the file anymore because they found what they were looking for. You can go back to retrievals. You can view your My Checkouts if you've already submitted that request, and then you can click on this red arrow to cancel it. And we will also see that cancellation. This will pop up just to verify that you do want to cancel it. Press OK. And then we're good to go. So before we go to request to store records at the State Record Center, are there any questions? No questions, right, Susie?
Nope.
Okay, we're going to proceed then to request to store. To request to store, you're going to click on creation and you're going to click on box creation request. Generally, we accept boxes. We don't generally accept file folders that are loose. So it's always going to be box creation request. And then this window will pop up. And let me make my window bigger because I can't really see. So this window will pop up, and then you are actually going to be, your department will already show up here. What you need to select though is the series. When you click here, this window will pop up. You can either select from the general record schedule. These are for records that are common to all state agencies. Or you can click on departmental here to find a retention schedule that's specific to your department and select it. And then what you need to do after you've selected your retention schedule is you need to remove the two dates that are here. Those appear by default. Most likely you didn't create the record today because it always shows the current date. These two dates are optional. You can put it in if you want to. It's not necessary, but the event date right underneath there is required. So that date is the date where retention starts being counted. So for example, if I'm turning in a file, Attorney General's closed case file, the date I'm going to put here is the calendar date where the entire set of files that I'm sending closed. So most likely it will be calendar year. So I'll put here 12/31/2024 if that is the calendar year that I'm sending these records are for. If it's a fiscal record, most likely it's the end of fiscal year. So if we're talking about the last fiscal year that ended, it'll be June 30th, 2024. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put the title of the box. So here I have closed case files for this calendar year, 2024. And you can also put a description. Actually, the description is required. You can put closed case file, calendar 2024, and you could put the case file numbers in the description also. So that when you look for files later on, you will have an easier time determining which box contains the file. You will also assign it your own agency box number. Many agencies actually put the year and then box one. And are there any, did you fumigate these records? If you did, say yes. If not, you can just leave it blank. If you said yes, please put the date it was fumigated. If there are any restrictions on use, most people just say only their agency can use it. Or you can leave this blank because technically only you have access to your records anyway, if you're stored here at the State Record Center. When you're finished and when you're finished filling this out, but you want to add files, you have to click on this button here called Add Files. And then this window will come up. Same thing, you got to remove these two dates. You can put the correct dates if you want to, but they're optional. And then the event date should be exactly the same as the box. And I think this comes up anyway. And then what's going to be new for you to fill in will be the title of the folder and a description of the folder. When you're done with that, you can click on Add this file. And you keep doing that. And eventually this number here will change. Right now it's showing 2, but if we just did the first one here, this will change to 1. And then if you add another file, what will happen is what information is here will remain. And you can probably just edit it. So you can remove the to and from dates. This should be the same. The title of the box might change. because it's, sorry, the file because it's a second file. And then the description of the second file might also need to be changed. And then you click on add file once again, and then the number here should be the previous number plus 1. So you keep adding till you finish adding every single file information, every single file's information for that box. When you're done adding all of them, you can click on this green area here to say that you're done. And then you can go ahead and submit the box. So the box information and the file information go together and get submitted to us. And you keep doing that until you finish all of those boxes. Now, this process is good only if you have 10 or less fewer boxes. After that, it gets kind of tedious to be doing, 100 of these over and over again, especially if you have file information. Okay, if you want to check your or edit your submissions, you can go back to it. You can click on creation. You can go my box requests, and then your boxes will show up. You can click on this pen here that shows edit, and then you can go ahead and edit your boxes, your box information as well as your file information. The other thing that we do if we have 10 or more than 10 boxes is to submit it using an Excel spreadsheet. And the reason why we do that is because it's so much easier just to upload data into the database than going through one record at a time on Versatile Web. You can download the forms, 5 for the box information and 5A for file information from the Hawaii State Archives website. This is what the ARM5 looks like. It's very similar in terms of content with the old ARM5 forms that we use, which was a Word document. The things to kind of be careful about is we do want to make sure that we have your records officer's name. If you don't know who that is, you can contact us. We do keep track. It's supposed to be annually. We ask departments if this person has changed. So we did that recently, so our information is pretty much up to date. We also need the name of the records custodian. For these two names, we actually will create, if they don't already have an account, a Versatile Web account. In terms of the records retention schedule, you can just type what it is. We will actually verify that before we upload this data because the database will be validating that information. If they don't find a match, your record won't actually be uploaded. Let's see. Other things to be cognizant about, unique agency box numbers. We prefer if you have only one series per box because that makes this part easier. In the past, especially fiscal officers, they were allowed to actually submit multiple record series in one box because their disposition were all the same, 6 years. But with our new database, we ask that you not do that anymore because it makes it harder for us to figure out which retention schedule to apply. Okay, what else? The other thing is the accession number we will assign and the location. You don't need to fill that in. But what is different from the old ARM5 forms is the event date. The event date is not the destruction date like we used to ask you to calculate. It's actually the date of closure or creation. It's essentially the date where we start counting days to determine when to destroy the record. So for fiscal records, it's when the fiscal year closed. For many case files, it's calendar year, that the calendar year for when the file closed. So if it closed in January of 2024, the event date is December 31st, 2024. This is an example of an ARM 5A form. So as you can see, it has your agency box numbers. If you have more than one folder, the agency box number will continue to be listed here, same box. And we need the same event date as your boxes. The accession number will be assigned by us, so don't worry about that part. And of course, the date here, the from and to date are still optional. You don't need to fill it in if you don't need to. And then the top part here is exactly the same as the ARM5 form. You do need to submit that to us, in the same email attachment so that we can upload it one after another. Before we continue with disposition authorizations, are there any questions? Any questions, Susie?
No questions in the chat.
No questions. Wow. Okay. I'm worried about that. Okay, so disposition authorization. When we start sending out notifications that records are eligible for destruction, as I mentioned earlier, we don't do the ARM4 forms anymore. We will actually create a batch record on Versatile, and we will assign the authorizer. The authorizer is the records custodian. Now, some of the records that were stored here have long retention, 10 years, some of them are 30-year retention. In the course of over time, that person maybe leaves service or moves on to another job within the state. So many times before we send out these notifications, we're actually calling your agency to see who the current records custodian is. So once we determine that, we will assign that person as the authorizer. But before we could do that, if the person does not have an account for Versatile, we will also need to create that so that the person can actually approve the destruction. So when we send a notification, there'll be an email that looks kind of like this sent to the authorizer to let them know that there are records to be authorized. The person needs to log into their account and click on retention, disposition authorization, and their batch will show up there, and it'll tell them how many items are pending review. The job of the authorizer is to review the records to let us know if we can destroy them. So when the person clicks on that batch, it will actually have the long list of 49 items. Sorry, not 49 items, 320 items for that entire accession. It also includes not only boxes, it will also include file information. So for records where the agency submitted file information, or if they didn't, but they were requesting files over time, that's where there's a file data included in the disposition authorization. So this is the time when the authorizer can say, yes, you can destroy the entire batch, and they could just click on approve all. Or they can actually go through each one of these and select those that are approved, those that are rejected. For those that they reject because you folks want us to hold on to the files or not the files, the boxes longer, you need to click on notes and tell us why, and tell us how much longer to hold that record. We will then update that specific box record to change retention, or sorry, to change disposition date. So if you select all, this window will pop up. It's telling you that you didn't actually review every single one of them. You just pressed all. If you're agreeable to that, you click on OK, and all of those records are approved. This window will pop up anyway. It will allow you to write some notes if you need to. Many times people will just click on complete review, and then you're all done. To see what you approved, you can actually click on retention, disposition authorization, and disposition authorization, and this list will come up. So the ones that you already reviewed are checked off. The ones that are still open are listed, and you can do something about that if you want to go ahead and process it. Okay, are there any questions about disposition authorizations? Is there something on chat, Susie? I see one.
No, I'm not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay, it might be for another chat that I have earlier. Oh, I see something there. Versatile Web. Oh, Marilyn had a question. Can you read it off, Susie? It kind of popped up and it disappeared.
Marilyn is asking, who is considered the disposition authorizer again?
It's actually the records custodian. So in the olden days when people used to send us ARM5 forms, it's the person who used to sign as records custodian. It's usually the person who manages the records. So sometimes it's the office assistant 4, sometimes it's the not department head, the branch head. It depends on your agency, but it's usually the person that signs off on the ARM5 form or is listed by you with the new system as the records custodian. Does that answer your question, Marilyn? Thank you. I think for you, it's you, right? Aren't you the records custodian for your agency? Okay, so if there are no other questions, let's go over some troubleshooting. So these are things that we kind of noticed since we implemented the system. One is some people say, given the credentials we issued, they can't log in. I think what happens is you need to know that initially when we send you your credentials, your password and login are exactly the same. If you change the password, then we don't know what it is. You're responsible for it. If you lose that password, we will actually open up your record, and then we will use the same login as your password and reissue your credentials, and then you can go ahead and change it again if you want to. The other thing that comes up with logins is they're case sensitive. So if you enter your login name, all caps, your password has also have to be all caps. Otherwise, it won't go. How about can't find any records? Sometimes people forget to clear their previous searches. So it's still limiting their search by their previous search. So you need to press clear. The other thing, unfortunately, and Susie and I are still working on this, is over time, state government changed. So if you have records that were sent here, let's say 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, and the office name changed, when we set up the organization of the records by departments, divisions, branch offices, it may not reflect what what your department looks like today. So some of the records might be coded uh, using old information. In that event, just to let you know, Susie and I are working on trying to fix that by going through all the old ARM5 forms, looking at org charts, listening to users when they notify that they can't find their records, but they're here. So we are fixing those, and we ask for your patience and understanding while we do that. The next one, can't find a specific accession. I think sometimes what happens is people enter the accession number in the wrong type of search. They use the basic criteria instead of the box, files, documents criteria, because the box, file, documents criteria has actually a field to search for user box number, which is equal to accession number. So use that instead. Next one, can't find a specific file. So people get excited because the database can search for files. But if in previous accessions you didn't provide us that information because you couldn't, we were still using Access, then you can't search for that piece of data, because there's no data uploaded. For moving forward, if you send those to us, we can they're usable if when we upload it, and you can go search for files that way. And then finally, you're receiving weird notifications from us. That is probably us still trying to what do you call fix, fine tune the messaging or the notification system for for Versatile. I know the last disposition authorization that we sent out actually sent some kind of weird notifications. If you get them and you're wondering what it is, please let us know, and that will help give us feedback as to what's going out there that may be unintentional on our end and we need to fix. All right, so I think that's all I have. What did I do to my presentation? Yes, so if there are any questions, this would be the time to bring them up. Otherwise, if you think of them afterwards, please feel free to contact us at recordcenter@hawaii.gov or call Susie at 831-6770, and we'll try to address your questions at that time. Let me make this smaller so I can see chat. Is there anything on chat, Susie, a chat question?
Not at this time.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Susie? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, sorry, not at this time.
I know you almost need to be up and using the system, then you'll have a question. It's a little harder to do it kind of like in a training session. So if people don't have any questions, we'll wait a couple more seconds. We
I
will
have a
close this meeting.
question.
Sure. Who's this?
This is Presley from CONA,
Hi,
Department of Labor.
Presley.
Hi.
Uh-huh.
When we return file, do we just mail them directly to you because they have the barcodes on there, or how do we do that?
Yes. So for you, did we send it to your sister agency here in Honolulu?
Yes.
And they sent it to you by mail.
Yes.
So probably best to return it to them,
Okay.
and then they will send it to us by messenger so that the
All right.
person who sent it to you knows that you returned it.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And do keep the barcodes or RFID tags on there, because that's how we check it in when it's returned to us.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So any other questions?
Gina, I do have something to comment. This is Susie.
Sure.
if for anybody who hasn't sent in um, a request to store records, and this is maybe their first time doing it, I
Uh-huh.
recommend, regardless of whether it's less than 10 boxes or more than 10 boxes, I recommend maybe at least trying to fill out the ARM5 so that they can send it to us in a draft. We can take a look at it, see if there are any problems before we upload it. And then moving forward, of course, they'll have the information they need to actually put it into the Versatile Web directly, should they want to do that. But using the ARM5, I think it'll be easier for us to make the
Mhm.
corrections versus if you do it in Versatile Web, you'll need to be making the corrections manually.
That's true because we actually don't have access to your record until you submit it. And once you submit it, we can see it, but we can't edit for you. So that's good advice, Susie. And of course, if it's your first time and you need, more direct assistance, we can also just have a Teams meeting with you while you're trying to fill out that form or turn in a versatile web request, so we can see it and we can help you side by side. So a Teams meeting would generally be very helpful. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions. We look forward to your submissions on Versatile. Since we implemented the system, we've been getting a lot of requests and we're actually able to respond much, much better because of the system. So we look forward to hearing from you. And thank you for any feedback we receive to help us make the system better. Okay, we're gonna sign off now. Oh, what's this? Oh, thank you. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye. Bye, Kyler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In response to a chat message, the recording of the meeting will be posted in Teams after the
Yes,
training is
it
done, and
will
then
be
eventually will
it
be on the
will be
website.
there until they tell us it's time to remove. So where we want to put the recordings eventually is on the Hawaii State Archives website. We're going to upload the recording on our YouTube channel, and we'll put a link on our website under Managing Government Records for all of the training sessions that we did, except for the in-person tour. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.